listen, I love solo and I love fucking driving through with the ball, so passing was an afterthought for me.
So you just didn't want to pass.
I didn't, yeah, basically.
How was your ma? Is your dad walk?
How's your man, your dad?
Oh fuck! How you basing Derry being better than Tyrone on?
A lot of things, being back-to-back Ulster champions, absolutely wiping the floor of Tyrone the last time you played them. Wiping the floor of Monaghan,
When was
who
that?
beat Tyrone last season.
Okay.
Welcome to episode 4 of Breaking Ball, and I have to say, my relationship with Willie McMahon is on the precipice. It's about to fall over the edge. Just opened up the Irish Independent there during the week. I was just having a little browse. And I'll just read out the first paragraph here. Spat my tea out. Break out the bunting, dust off your hat. It's going to be a Dublin Kerry final. We'll never learn.
I actually got a lot of tweets on the back end of that, and I was like, "You gotta read the rest of the."
They were all my accounts. I set them all up.
You was it?
Come at you. I couldn't believe it, Philly. I was
Yeah.
like, I've been working with this man now for 3 weeks.
I didn't want to, like, in the column, I didn't want to disrespect Derry, the quality Derry and Monaghan have, right?
No, forget about Monaghan. I'm talking about Derry here.
Still think,
Disrespect Monaghan all you want.
still think it's going to be a Derry Kerry final, right?
Derry Kerry final.
And you do as well. Don't lie.
Dublin
You
Kerry.
know deep down. Sorry, Dublin Kerry.
I have to. Do you know what? It's getting closer to the game, and I'm starting to think Derry have a chance. If you were taking money off me, okay, I would say Dublin Kerry, but I'm starting to. There's something stirring in my stomach. Not that people in Derry would care.
Don't get me wrong. There's not, like, in one game, anything is possible.
Yeah.
There really is, like, so. I just think it's the alignment of what's happened this season. It's a Dublin Kerry final for me. Just for me. Take out the boys.
For me.
Being a dub, but I just think the game last year, the start of the season, Kerry All Ireland champions. The kind of both teams yo-yoing in terms of their consistency this year. Monaghan having something to do with Dublin's relegation last year. All of these things, for me, are lining up. You know, it's like another kind of sparring partner before they get to the ultimate stage, right?
Yeah.
But I do think Derry and Monaghan will have something to say in terms of, in relation to basically people writing them off. So as much as that start of the column writes Derry and Monaghan off, I do go into a little bit more detail in around what Monaghan have come through, what Derry have come through this year that Dublin and Kerry haven't. And I think they're the strengths that they need to hone in on, which basically, Derry, Ulster champions, really competitive Ulster championship.
McKenna Cup champions.
Yes,
from
exactly.
top of Division 2. Who cares about the final? Trying to get rid of those. They would have won. They would have won.
And
the
the
league.
adversity they've come through.
Yeah.
So that's something to hone in on. That's a strength. Monaghan, like, the resilience they've showed in the last few games is incredible. Like, and it, Vinnie Corey's first year, like, so I think it's that he's not going to go out and thinking like, look, lads, we're just here to make up in opposition here. We're going to go out here and give it a lash.
Do you want to know why Derry are going to beat Kerry?
Go for it.
I'm raging I said that now, but it's on the record. Is that Derry, quite simply, are better than Tyrone. Alright, so Kerry were very impressive against Tyrone. But
what are you basing Derry being better than Tyrone on?
A lot of things, being back-to-back Ulster champions, absolutely wiping the floor of Tyrone the last time they played them, wiping the floor of Monaghan, who beat Tyrone last season.
Okay.
And then also how bad Tyrone have been this year. Tyrone were a 13-metre free kick away from being out of the championship against Westmeath. They should
I
have
don't
lost.
think Tyrone were that bad this year. I think they've more in them, but I don't think they were that bad. I think Derry were the best in Ulster, and I think Tyrone, certainly if they met, would have been a good challenge.
So not like me to apologise for a drive-by on Tyrone. I'm not doing that, but I mean more specifically like what I saw from Tyrone against Kerry. Yes, Kerry deserve a bit of credit, right? But Tyrone were going off on these little solo runs, like quite literally. Brian Kennedy just charged into the corner, nobody coming with him. Like Niall Morgan was talking about it last week. These boys,
they weren't as structured as Derry will be.
Never going to happen with Derry, right? And Tyrone also never exploited. We talked to Niall Morgan about it as well. They never went for a midfield, where we were all talking about Kerry's midfield not being as
Derry
strong
will
as
learn from
Tyrone's.
that.
And Derry have
Derry
Rodgers and
will have
Glass in
massive
there.
learning from
And I
that.
think
Why are we only just talking about Derry and Kerry? Is that just your kind of
Yeah, you were trying to
bias?
talk about Monaghan
Just
Dublin.
biased, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, like they're both the same. They both have the same narrative, don't they? Like a massive underdog to an extent.
Yeah, one of them's back-to-back Ulster champions, but you go on.
Yeah, no, but like I mean, take away that, like, you know,
Yeah.
there's the highlight is on Dublin and Kerry.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously it's a bit closer in the eyes of the GAA world, bar Monaghan supporters. Derry and Kerry is closer, like. So for me, like both games have certain question marks, which
Yeah.
is great, which is what we want. This is what we
Yeah,
want. We
yeah.
want that excitement. So, you know, you see Conán Doherty, he's like Stephen Cluxton, like he's like, is this fella ever going to finish up? Like he's here so long, like, you know, and I'm kind of saying to myself, who takes him up? That's the crucial one for me. Who's going to mark Conán Doherty? Is it Mick Fitzsimons? Mick Fitzsimons, let's say, which very rarely does, has an off day.
Yeah.
Something happens, gets injured. Who's going to take him next?
Yeah.
Who's going to take McCarran? Who's going to take McCarthy from wing back? Conor McCarthy. Who's going to take it? So there's loads
O'Connell
of
from
question
wing back
marks.
as well.
What's
Yeah.
it?
Carl O'Connell from
O'Connell
wing back too.
like so. And I just think there's a lot of question marks that will, if they are answered, will be massive for Dublin going into an All-Ireland final.
Yeah.
But that Monaghan team are so resilient, you know. But I just think maybe this will be a step too far for them in terms of Dublin. The Derry situation with Kerry is a little bit tighter for me, and I think there could be a banana skin on the basis that Kerry are already reigning All-Ireland champions.
Yeah.
Have they been fed? Maybe throughout the season they've said, yeah, sometimes they have, sometimes they're a little bit more hungrier when they get that bit of a fright from losing the game or it being tight in a game that was probably seen as an out and out easy kind of, you know, win for them. But I just think Derry, this could be massive for them. You know, this definitely could have them up there then.
Oh,
you know,
it's huge. Like the amount of people coming down for it. Like I can't wait for it.
In fairness to Derry fans, I've done some of the games in Ulster this year. They travel well.
Like, and they never used to. Like, this is over the Noddies. They didn't. Like, in fairness, they weren't getting a lot back either. Like, you know, and they had a good team there that was always threatening to do something, but it didn't take the next step that galvanised the whole county like this one has done now. It's crazy what's happened the last 2 years, and the buzz is real. And part of me is excited. Like, going into the Cork game, I was so nervous because Derry were favourites, and I was like, "Oh God, if they blow this!" Like, you know, it's nice going in when you are underdog,
on the basis of Cork playing well.
And now this is ambush time where we're the Cork and Kerry or the Derry. As such, what a compliment to Kerry. But I just think I agree. Kerry are favourites, obviously. Kerry should win by 15 points, but I think Derry will.
You're from Kerry. You're Derry, not from Kerry.
Derry, you're
Kerry
like, yeah. I think Derry will win enough ball in midfield. And obviously we know when they have the ball, they can mind it. They'll push the man up the pitch then to be able to push Kerry back. Like, they're not going to be caught by Tag Morley or the double up, or they're going to have 15 on 15 up inside the 45. They'll get the 1-on-1s, and through that then they'll be able to.
You're talking about Derry offensively playing?
I'm talking about Derry offensively. I think they'll have enough ball. I mean, to give themselves a chance, they'll win enough ball in midfield. They'll turn enough ball over because they have the best defenders left. You might dispute that, but I think 1-on-1 defenders, Derry have the best left in the competition. Like, there's no Philly McMahons running around anymore in the Dublin team, you know?
Yeah, like Derry, it's very hard to say Derry have the best defenders. Possibly
For me, it's not. Just say it. Just let yourself do it.
Possibly the best defence.
Yeah.
Not the best
I don't like what that insinuates.
Can't be a good defender when you have players protecting you.
Yeah, but I think they could.
You know,
they could hold
which is
their
a
own.
good thing, and I agree with you. And it could have an effect on how potent Kerry are offensively.
Yeah.
Particularly in their forward line, particularly the Cliffords, particularly O'Shea, particularly, you know, there's so many of them.
Yeah.
The bench, you know, and really, unless you fatigue them by playing a really fast transitioning game like Dublin did against Mayo, the only other way is to get numbers in your defence so that these men that are so potent don't have the space and the time. And the key thing for Derry is, for me, keep them goalless.
Yeah.
Keep them goalless, right? They'll average it around 12, 13, probably a little bit higher. And I'm talking about average in terms of scores, points. Get 2 goals against Kerry and you're going to beat them. Where them goals going to come from, I'm not sure. McGuigan obviously is like one of the best players in the country. They'll hone in on him. Will the other lads around him step up as the coach?
Yeah, I mean the thing, like, it's well, everybody knows Derry's structure. I think that sort of frees up McGuigan a little bit. Do you know? It's like he's not inside on his own, completely stranded. Like he'll come out, he'll win ball, he can swing over from far. So it does give him
Keep
that
McGuigan on his right, and you'll be okay.
What's big talk
That's
there?
like, I mean, like he's. By the way, he's a very good player. I'm not saying he's one of the top players in the country, but I, as a defender, when I watch defenders marking him, how he comes around the loop with that left foot,
it's
obvious.
Now, he has targeted his right
hard
foot
to stop
this
though.
year, but he has gone after trying to improve his right foot this year, and he has gotten a couple of really.
But
nice
he scores with his right foot, and he takes players on. He creates his own separation. He does all of that.
Yeah.
That's why he's one of the best in the country. But he is still getting them scores where he just loops in on the left, and you're kind of saying as a defender, get him outside the goal, push him to his right, push him to the wing.
What they used to say about Ronaldo, Brazilian Ronaldo? Everyone knows Ronaldo steps over, goes to his left. Everyone knows it, and no one can stop him. Call it then. All my big talk, I'm going to go Kerry and Dublin.
Yeah, Dublin, Kerry, and I do think it'll be closer than a lot of people think.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of energy around these two games, and it takes from you. So it's not going to be plain sailing. It's not going to be Dublin, Kerry.
Yeah.
I just think they'll be tighter than people think.
Yeah. All right, let's get our guests onto the show here. "62 caps for his country, 164 Premier League games, Championship Player of the Year, 2 times International Player of the Year, 3 times International Goal of the Year. Kevin Doyle threw away all this for a GAA career. Kevin, do you regret it?"
It's great to hear. Do you want to repeat that again? That was nice. That was a nice the best introduction I've ever had. GA career. Do you know what? I love playing Gaelic football. I didn't play a whole lot of hurling when I was a kid. My club didn't have, just the age group I was in didn't really have a hurling team. Both my parents would have played county hurling, Kirkmogie and hurling. So I probably should have, but love football. My last ever sort of Gaelic football game was going. I was brought into the Wexford under-21 panel when I was about 17, and I drove to training. And I sat outside the training ground, and it was pissing rain, and I turned around and went home. So it was probably the best decision I ever made. Looking back, I don't know what made me turn around. It was obviously the rain or whatever. But if I had gone in that day, I would have been that would have been it. I think I'd have been committed to Gaelic football. So luckily for me, I didn't.
Wow, the Wexford rain deprived Wexford GA of Kevin.
I don't know. I'm depriving it too much now. But I was handy enough, in fairness.
Yeah, well, you did all right.
He's done all right, yeah. The one thing that we both have in common, Kevin, is we both got, well, am I right in saying you were nominated for Young Player of the Year?
Yeah.
Were you tipped by Cesc Fabregas?
Yeah, I was. It was Ronaldo, Rooney,
holy shit,
Fabregas, Micah Richards, and myself, I think. Oh, and Aaron Lennon. There was 5 of us.
That's incredible, isn't it?
I show my son that now because Ronaldo and Ronaldo's the only player he knows from that era. Now he's 10, so I show him the PFA awards program from that night. He found it in the house one day, and that's the only sort of link he has with that era of me playing. To see.
Oh, amazing.
There's.
Kevin, I got tipped by an Arsenal fan for Player of the Year as well, so we've something in common. Jack McCaffrey is an Arsenal fan.
Really?
So yeah, so there you go. We brought down. I just had to bring down the mood from Kevin's Roll of Honour, but it's still incredible when you look at the list of lads that were in that competing for that. But yeah, Jackson.
Part of it, I snuck in. I had a good year, so it was a decent list to be on. Yeah, good memories.
Fair play.
Is it true, Kevin, that you're getting roped into doing the odd coaching session now that you're back in Wexford?
I do a bit. You know what? I'm not a lover of coaching. I don't know. I'm just not. But my son, I can't turn down my son's team, can I? When he's under 10, he's under 11.
Yeah, well, you need to make sure he's starting in the team. You want to go and coach them.
Captain. penalties, free kicks. No. I go and I help out and whatever. I try to avoid him and not be the parent or the dad that's putting pressure, because I know the poor chap, he gets plagued everywhere we go. Everyone like when we're family or whatever it might be. Do you play soccer? You're going to be better than your dad and all. So that's all he's heard since I suppose he can walk. So I try to avoid him. I actually don't do anything with him on the pitch, or be shouting at him or telling him what to do. I leave that to the other coaches, and I sort of concentrate on the other players.
Yeah, you concentrate on showing him how his dad was on a par with Cristiano Ronaldo. That'll take the pressure right off him.
Yeah. For that 30 minutes that night at that awards do, that was about it. It's enjoyable with the kids actually, but when it stresses you out when they're 7, 8, when they're that age, and it's a babysitting service. But now they're getting to 11, 12 years of age. It's actually it's enjoyable enough to see them develop. For a right little team, he's plays for his local soccer club, Glenbarntown, and GAA as well. They're a right little team of players, so yeah, it's good fun.
If he comes to you and says, "I have a choice to go play in GAA, whether it be hurling or football or soccer," what would your advice be?
Actually, we had this conversation today. I don't play golf. Well, just rely on yourself. You can't blame anyone else. You can just blame yourself.
It's not bad.
Individual sport. He was out in the garden with a little set of golf clubs, and he seems to be loving it. I said, stick to that. I don't. He plays them all. So the more sports, the better. I don't be distant. If you happy playing whatever, play it. I'm not one for saying he should play this or that or not play another sport. Not when he's that age, 12 years of age, play him for another. Try to play as much as he can for 3 or 4 years, whatever he enjoys. It depends on the time of year. Right now, he loves hurling, loves football, Gaelic football. But in a month or two's time, when the soccer starts back, he'll prefer soccer, and that'll be, it's just. I think it's the way with most of them. Whatever they're playing at the time, whatever they see on TV for the next few weeks, will be what they want to aspire to.
Tell me this, Kevin. One thing I'm fascinated by is the Irish lads that have went over to England, particularly the ones that have a GAA background. Do you reckon there's any cultural traits that you've developed from GAA from a young age that helped you in soccer?
I know cultural, physically playing Gaelic football would have helped me. Staying later, not going to England at such a young age, helped me. I would have felt playing Gaelic football, playing GAA. I would have enjoyed it more at a younger age because I had more friends playing it. It was more local to me, if you know what I mean. Where soccer, you were brought off, and you had to sort of go on trials, and where there's Ireland, or you're with a different group. You're never with your friends. Whereas it's your local club, it's your friends, it's people you go with. So it was easier, more enjoyable. I felt soccer to me felt the harder route, a more difficult side of things. But physically, Jesus, yeah, the upper body strength just naturally, having to. So playing different sports helps you, I think, and Gaelic football, I was always sort of, people were surprised, I think, by my strength when I was 18, 19, 20, 21, being able to deal with centre halves and things, which wouldn't have come from massive amounts of work in the gym. It would have been natural.
Yeah.
We call it farmer strength, I think,
farmer functional strength.
Yeah.
Naturally using your body, your shoulders, you're having to, and it would have come from playing Gaelic football, I suppose, more than anything.
I would know your agent Pat Doyle well, and he speaks about the players he represents, and he wants them to be friends rather than that relationship between a player and an agent. One day he texts me and he says, I gave your book to Paolo Fonseca. He was managing the Ukrainian team, I think. No, was it Ukrainian? Yeah, maybe it was. Was it Shakhtar Donetsk?
I'm not sure which one he was, Fonseca. Yeah.
He's just standing there with my book, choice, and takes a picture of it. Just like, that's Pat.
That's brilliant.
That's Pat for you,
Yeah. Kevin, before you go, every week we are getting our stars from across the sea, or stars from different sports, to fill in their Breaking Ball Ultimate 15 card. Basically a FIFA card, only it's a GAA FIFA card. It's our FIFA card. We've gotten Kevin Kilban to do it, and we've gotten Roddy Collins to do it. I want to see if you can beat them in your stats for GAA, Kevin Doyle.
Right.
So the first thing is you have to tell us what position is Kevin Doyle, the Gaelic football player.
Centre forward. That was my third midfielder or centre forward.
Oh really? You did a bit of donkey work around the third midfield, were you?
I would.
I used to be good at reading the breaking ball and just running the length of pitch with it. Then
legs. Yeah.
win up downs and run. So yeah, I love that third midfielder role. To be honest, it was only coming in.
Yeah.
It wasn't a thing. The last couple of years, when I was maybe 15, 16, when that was started coming into being.
Yeah.
There you go. But I would have had him as a corner forward.
Yeah, no, I do like the old classic number 15 though.
He's got the speed, he's got the directness, and he obviously can score.
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody wants to be that third midfielder, don't they? Like,
exactly.
that freedom.
No, it had a golden era of about 6-7 years, and then it went away. Then
it's my dream. Nobody ever thought,
So we've got 6 attributes for you to run through, Kevin. So what would you give yourself out of 100 for pace?
Jesus, pace. Oh, when I played game, I was quicker back then. Yeah. What did Kevin Kilban give himself?
He thought he was quite. Yeah,
he was being very modest. Like his total was 72. I think he gave himself 75 or 80 for
he was
pace.
comparing his pace to James McCarthy, wasn't he?
Well, no, Roddy Collins was.
Oh, was it Roddy Collins?
Roddy Collins gave himself 83 for pace. There has to be somewhere. I don't know what that tells you.
Giller was quick once he got his legs going.
Yeah.
Like, they were big right at a gate on him. He might have been over the first couple of yards, maybe not a sharp. I'm going faster than Killer. I'll go 83 for pace.
Good man, that's a good start. What do you give yourself for shooting?
No, it's decent enough because it didn't matter left or right, which is sounding cocky, but it actually didn't. So I'll go that's a good attribute, isn't it? So I'll go the same, sort of like 80, 85.
Yeah, you're wasted third midfielder now that I'm thinking about it. Like I think you need to be.
Well, if he's a third midfielder going the offensive direction.
Yeah, like number 11, like Michael Murphy, you can go in and out.
Yeah.
What are you giving yourself for passing?
Passing? Oh no, that's going to be a low one. Yeah, I'll go down to 60 for passing. It's more like, listen, I loved solo and I loved fucking driving through with the ball, so passing was an afterthought for me.
So you just didn't want to pass.
I didn't, yeah, basically.
Wanted the contact, like just wanted to charge them to boys. Roddy Collins gave himself 95 for passing, full disclosure. Skill out of 100.
Roddy was confident in his ability. He must be some footballer. Skill out of 100. Very skillful. Like, it's hard to do skill in Gaelic football. As in, like, it's not like you're going to see too many flicks or tricks, is it? It's more technical ability, isn't it? Like,
it's the odd solo dummy, and you're one of the most skillful players.
Yeah. David Clifford done a kick over his shoulder. Yeah. No look kick over his shoulder, and the GA world went crazy.
It was very good though.
It was brilliant. But in the soccer world, people be like, that's just someone flicking the ball on.
I saw that the other day. It was decent, in fairness. I go, it's a decent skill level. I'm going to stick with the 85. Seems a good number for me.
Good man, Kevin. We got 2 more. We got defending next.
I played a bit of wing back. I wasn't too bad, Again, that sort of driving forward from the back. It was more of a forward wing back role than defensively. I wasn't going to be your dogged defender, shouldering lads off the ball when the ball's the other end of the field. So yeah, I go low on that. I go 60.
You're not a Philly McMahon then, that's what he's saying.
You're clean. Clean wing back.
And finally, a big one for you, I think, physicality out of 100.
That was a strong enough point to me. I had big shoulders on me when I was that age. Probably physicality wasn't an issue, so I'll go 80 again there.
Brilliant. Kevin Kilban is in the mud. Kevin Kilban finished with 72 out of 100. He's left him for dust, Kevin. I really.
Killer is modest, so.
Yeah, far too modest, yeah. Thanks a million for your time, Kevin. It's been great, and we'll let you go. See you soon.
No worries. Thanks.
Thanks, Kevin. Cheers.
What a pleasure it is to welcome our next guest to the show. Writer, actor, comedian, and definitely of all the people we've had on the show, top 2 Ballymun men. It's Willie White.
Thanks very much, Colin.
Welcome.
Thanks, Billy. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming in.
You're very welcome.
Settle the debate. How do you pronounce Kevin?
Kevin.
Kevin?
Yavin.
Kevin?
You make it sound like Kevin. Yeah.
We just have the proper accent. The Dubs have the proper accent.
We have a proper Dublin brogue.
Yeah.
That's the way it is. I was actually talking to somebody the other day and I said something and, oh yeah, it was me missus's friend was over from Liverpool and I was saying that Blow were playing in Malahide Castle.
Yeah.
And she didn't know who I was talking about. She goes, who? I said, Blow. She goes, Flo. I says, no, Blow. She goes, Clo. Oh, she goes, oh, Blay. Blay. That's the difference. Yeah, but it's mad because you go out anywhere outside Dublin, the accent just changes.
Yeah.
If you think about Australia, you could travel 1,000 miles across in another direction and they're talking with the same accent.
Yeah.
But if you go outside Dublin from Drogheda to Navan to...
It's so weird. Such a small island, so many
Definitely.
accents. But even in Dublin, like that's the one problem I have with Dublin. There's too many accents in Dublin as well.
So what your...
Well, there's only 2, isn't there? Like, there's like
Well, there's also like a neutral one that doesn't really. It's like just a generic Irish accent. But Galway seem to have that more than anybody.
do you know what pisses me off? So I relatives up in West Belfast, and they used to always try put my accent on, but sound like a leprechaun. How you feel? It's like,
Yeah.
I actually don't talk like that.
It's like Tom Cruise and Far and Away, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's
Brutal.
terrible.
What part of West Belfast?
Let it down.
Right. I know a few people from up there. Mainly Andy Town and...
Lennodown is Andytown. So,
Yeah.
just a bit of a background how me and Willie met. So Willie joined my gym. When was that, Willie? That was...
It was 2011.
2011, and we had a group of lads, great group of lads.
The best. I'm not just saying it. I've trained in gyms, but the class that was up there at that time,
Yeah.
the class of 2011, it was, come here, it was just a great bunch of people.
Yeah.
It was mad. Like, we used to do like a warm up where you'd get one of the members to do certain exercises, and then it'd be mirrored by the other members.
Yeah.
So this fella gets up, you're telling him to do squats and press ups and sit ups. This fella's doing break dancing. So I turn around, 1 minute legs, I turn around, they're all spinning on their backs, and I'm going, geez, me insurance. And he's doing his break dancing that he used to do on the line on the flats years ago.
Yeah. No, great. Just come here. A great bunch of people, and for the facilities that the gym had, and I always say that, and not that I'm big GAA or it's bet into me or anything like that, but I always say for such a small gym that literally didn't have an awful lot, the players and the calibre of players that Ballymun Kickham's have produced over the years, and not only the players, but I mean the board members, one particular being Tom Donoghue, God rest his soul, who was like the backbone, one of the backbones of the place. It just bred character, and it bred really, really good players to come out of such a small community that there wasn't an awful lot in. You'd no bar, you'd no clubhouse, you'd no nothing. It was kind of much so like the community of Ballymun. It was just rough and ready,
Yeah.
But what an amazing place, and we had some great times up there, We really did.
Special memories.
Yeah, great,
All
really
began.
good memories. Yeah, definitely. It was a great place, And there is a lot of good that comes out of Ballymun, but come here, the media and the news don't want to know about that. Do you know what I mean? Like areas like that, they just kind of keep it down. They can just tell you about all the bad stuff, because bad news sells, unfortunately. You don't want to see a headline going, Anto gets custody of his kids for the weekend, do you know what I mean? And brings them to the shops and has a great day at the beach. No one wants to buy that.
Yeah.
People just want to hear Anto bleeding, smashed a robbed car into a shop, and and it's unfortunate, but that's the facts, isn't it?
Tell me this, Willie. You talk a little bit about kind of the direction you went in life. So do you want to kind of go into that a little bit, and maybe kind of did you have an opportunity to be a professional footballer or an inter-county GAA player? Did that ever cross your mind to get into sport that way, or? I suppose sometimes in life that you just you make opportunities. Do you know what I mean? And I'm very, very aware of making some of my own opportunities later on in life. But in school, What school did you go to in Ballymun?
I went to the Virgin Mary in school. I remember the church being built in 1978 down in Shangan Road. That's kind of the vintage I am. And I made me communion in that church, and I made me confirmation in that church. And in school, I wasn't really big into sport. GAA, it didn't hold anything for me. I was kind of one of them young lads that was more mischievous than sport orientated. And I tried soccer for a while. Wasn't a great soccer player, but just kind of chanced me arm more. So I actually have a photograph of me playing for Shangan somewhere on my phone, and I was showing a mate of mine. The mate of mine goes, "You look like a real soccer player, like, you know." But yeah, when you see me out golfing, I look like a real golfer as well. Like, but watch me swinging a club, and it's a completely different thing, like, you know. So I tried.
One of those that had the best boots, but
all the gear, no idea. Isn't that what they say?
Still images only.
Yeah.
footballer.
Yeah. I remember getting brought up to play for Shangan Celtic years ago when I was a kid. I was probably 10 years of age, and it was the only time that my father, God be good to him, come up to watch me play, and I didn't get a game. I didn't even get on as a substitute. Yeah. And my dad just went to the pub, and I was just left there watching the match. And it's mad that I still have the vision of that happening. And I remember Davy Rafter in the club room that morning, and his son who always got a game, not because he was the son, because he was a good soccer player, and other lads that was on the team. And I was this young fella that was just so consumed, I suppose, excuse me, with what was going on at home, because there was a lot of stuff going on at home. As a child growing up, I grew up in a household where my father liked a lot of drink and you know, was very violent towards my mother, myself and my sister at the time. So I think when I look back, I could never really focus on that, and I could never really commit to doing something, because the reality is that when I was at home at night, I didn't know what time I was going to be getting to bed at. Do you know what I mean? So even academically in school, I suffered greatly because of what was going on at home. And like getting into drugs kind of run off a different road now. But I mean, when I started using drugs at a very young age, it was a real great escape for me. Like, it was like I'd found something that that got me away from everything that was going on at home. And sport never done that for me. You know, GAA never done that, soccer never done that. Obviously I kicked around ball, you know, in the flats and played sheds underneath the flats and that. We used to play goals in the flats, and you had a goal here and a goal there. So you had to run around this way to score a goal that way, and around this way to score a goal that way.
People probably think we ran sideways. Crabs.
But you know what? It worked, and some great soccer players and some great young lads. You know, it was like always in school, you knew who was good at sport. They kind of had that kudos. You knew who was good at sport, and you knew who the best scrapper was in the school. Do you know what I mean? That was kind of it. So, yeah, when I started taking drugs at a very young age, it was to get away from everything that was going on at home, it done exactly what I said in the tin. It was a short-term solution to a long-term problem that was going to cause me a lot more hassle in life. There was the snooker hall in Ballymun where I grew up as well. So I don't think you can really call pool a sport, but I was a really good pool player from a young age. And that's where I spent a lot of my time. I was one of them young fellas when I was growing up, is that I didn't want to be at home. You know, home didn't really, and I don't know if even home would be the right place to call it. It was just somewhere where I stayed, because I think the ingredients to a home is love, first and foremost, is family, is the connection between family, which there was no connection in my house. I was reared, you know, by the fist by my dad, sometimes getting beaten for reasons that were reasonable enough. I was getting beaten in school because corporal punishment was out when I went to school. And so, like, most days as a young lad from
it was traumatic.
Probably, it was so that's the way it was. So I always kind of,
wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. So like I as I said, I didn't know what way my day was going to go when I left school, so I didn't spend an awful lot of time in school. I spent a lot of time mitching and going on the hop and robbing horses, and you know, it was just... You
robbed my horse, did you?
Yeah, it was just and I don't mean to sound like a now flat, it was just a completely different era. Like, there was no phones, there was no... You made your own fun, you played ball, you robbed horses, you played chasing. Yes, you know, so...
Colin, we used to have a big field at the back of the flats.
Yeah.
And like it was like a car park for horses.
Mm.
So you just basically put the rope around the bit of the horse, and then you'd stake it into the ground, and there'd be horses all up the field. And you'd wake up some mornings and you look out your window. If you lived in the flats, I lived in the first floor, and you look out the window some morning before you got to school, and you just hear these, like, there was a big massive field at the top of Poppentry, with cow fields it was called, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And there was massive amount of horses up there, and they just used to walk through Ballymun the odd time the gate was left open, and you'd look out the window and you see like cowboys and Indians like them like walking down the road.
From the morning to be horses in your garden, like if you had a house. That's the God's honest truth. Like, it was unbelievable.
See, to your point about like such a small area being able to create so many talented people and stuff as well. Like, I'm not filling your pocket, to use Roddy Collins' phrase, but you look at that Dublin team is literally lined, like, you know, from fullback to John Small to James McCurry to Dean Rock, and then Comerford and Paddy Small. Would that, if you were in school and you weren't a Dublin player nowadays, but like that's such a thing to look up. This is the most successful team of all time, and it's lined by Ballymun people. Like, would that have an impact on somebody nowadays, you think?
I think so. I think the difficulty with Ballymun itself is that it's kind of sugarcoated a little bit, if I'm being honest. You know, as in, like, I don't want to sound too negative here, like, but as we all know, Ballymun Kickhams is two communities. It's Glasnevin and it's Ballymun.
Yeah,
you know?
totally.
And there's not enough, I would feel. And in fairness to the club, they're doing really Trojan work behind the scenes around the North Street. It's in the actual Trinity Comprehensive School now, and the numbers are great, and the work's done is amazing. But the actual kids from Ballymun that have played for Dublin is a lot less than probably the kids from Glasnevin.
Right, that's interesting. Yeah, I don't think I would have appreciated that on the outside. Look,
but it's that's in no way
of course
saying that, you know, we should turn our nose up at kids that are playing for Ballymun Kickhams from Glasnevin. No way, because they're all my friends, and it's amazing. Course. But like, I think the last person after me was probably, or like, let's say there was Davy Bourne, there was Jason Whelan. They were both from Salog.
Ted Foreman, he
played minor. He played kind of got trials at senior.
That guy's brilliant.
Yeah. So all those lads are from Ballymun. And I think there is a big amount of work done, but getting done at the minute by the club to get more, because the energy of having a person from Ballymun playing for Dublin is a little bit different. Like, John Small has a bit of Ballymun in him.
Yeah,
he lives in the Ballymun Road. Like, you know what I mean?
I'm
just talking from the defender's point of view. James McCarthy's just like, he doesn't need. He's that toughness as well, but like, he's a different player. Like, he's just so good on, like, going a different direction. Like, you know. So I think, I do. I just think there's a missing piece there that the club is, I'm sure, working on at the minute. You know, but it's still amazing, isn't it? Like, I think
it's great that they even to go onto that club, because I mean, you've Colin Kills and Whitehall, which is just as near.
Yeah,
and you've Nafina. But like, I know Dean Rock's father, he played for Kickhams, didn't he, Barney?
Yeah, Barney. Yeah.
And Barney would have been big when I was in school. I remember Barney playing for Dublin, and a big hardy man as well. But it's mad to think that, you know, we talked about opportunities earlier, that they would have had opportunities to go to other clubs, but thought, you know what, we're going to go up here. What a great day. Like, you just imagine how different all them lads that Philly just spoke about there, how different their careers would have been if they'd have went to a different club. I mean, that team, and I'm not blowing smoke up your hole, but I don't think this country will ever see the likes of that Dublin team again. And I remember it all starting.
We don't really know the real effect of the team, the Ballymun Kickhams team, getting to the All-Ireland final in 2013, and on top of that, having such a representation of Dublin players, right? They're crucial things in terms of recruitment of a club in a community, right? So we won't see that until the next generation of players come through to Ballymun Kickhams, and those Dublin lads move on, to see what kind of talent comes through and how that talent is being moulded. Like, but I just think for Ballymun Kickhams, we also need to get into the community. Like, our club is in the airport.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, you know, I know most families will have transportation, but
if you don't,
some families don't, and that's a good half an hour, 45 minutes past the M50 to get to it, and you can't really walk, really. Like.
No, it's a dangerous road.
But I think they're working on trying to get land in Ballymun, because how important that would be to the community would be massive, because there's great clubs in the community already. Southampton, Ballymun.
Darren played for Southampton. He played
Hurling, So, but imagine being able to say to your kid, you just have to walk across the road there and you can see 6 Dublin players train. Where would you get that? Like 6? There was 8 at one stage. There was 6. There's 5 or 6 now. Look at there's the art there. Go over and have a look, and your kid can see that and go, I want a bit of that.
Yeah.
And even if it's for the girls, there's a girls team now and it's going great and stuff like that. You know?
Yeah.
So what I want to get on to next, Willie, your transition into comedy. Tell us the Des Bishop show started off here.
Yeah, so no, do you know what? See, school, as I always said, I was always up to devilment in school and, you know, being mischievous, and I was always, I was the class clown, and I've no kind of shame about saying that I had that much heartache and that much sorrow and that much tears going on at home that I needed a bit of laughter. So I used to generate my own kind of stuff, like, and I was always funny as a kid. I was always on stage as a kid, even in talent competitions in the Virgin Mary, you know, there was stuff on. I was always kind of involved with it. Even school plays, I was in The Emperor's New Clothes, and I was in Oliver. I played Dodger. I was on Anything Goes.
You're 100% the Dodger in Oliver.
Yeah, definitely. And I was in I just in different kind of productions. And when I came into recovery, as it's a known fact, and I don't, you know, Des won't mind me kind of blowing his anonymity, but when I got out of prison, which I got extradited home from England, so my drug addiction led me to a stage where I went to prison for different spates of time in jail, all drug related. For, you know, as I always say, it wasn't as if I was living the life of Pablo Escobar or anything like that. It was like rob to use, do you know what I mean, and bleeding, repeat the next day, and ended up in jail, and never, not that I'm trying to justify or minimalise my crimes, but it was never violence towards anybody. There was never burglaries, or it was nothing like that. It was just petty kind of stuff a lot of the time, you know, shoplifting, trespassing, stuff like that. But I eventually got caught with drugs, and I went on the run to England. And in England, I then ended up getting extradited home. I got a crack cocaine habit in England, and I was really, really sick. I actually have a video on my phone of when, the year before I got out of prison. I'll show you after. I should have sent it to you. But so, and this, I'm getting into how I met Des Bishop. So I got extradited home from London in 1997, and I went to jail, and I was completely clean. I was in Brixton prison for 6 weeks. Came back, and after a few weeks of being sentenced, I got 5.5 years. With a review after 3.5 years with terms and conditions. The terms and conditions being that I address my drug problem, that I do something about, you know, my drug problem, that I give clean urines and be seen to go to counselling and be seen to, you know, do a bit of therapy or whatever it might be. So I eventually got clean. I got me stuff together. I started going to a 12-step program in prison, and then eventually when I got out of prison after the 3.5 years, so I hadn't been on the streets of Dublin roughly for about 6 years, which was great. So people, you know, out of sight, out of mind, I always say. And I met Des while I was in prison, and Des was in at a 12-step meeting. And then when I got out of prison, I was at a convention, and at the convention I done there was an auction at it for all stuff that was at it. So they asked me to do the auction. So I got up on the stage and I done the auction, and I was taking the piss out of people, just subtly obviously, and having a bit of crack. And Des came up to me after the auction, and he says, have you ever thought about doing stand-up comedy? And I says, to be honest with you, I haven't, you know. So he said, I think you're really funny. He said, I think you'd be great at it. So a few months later, he came back and he says, look, I've got a great idea for a programme. I'm going to pitch it to RTE. So it's about you getting out of prison and embarking on the world of stand-up comedy. And so I knew there'd be a lot of stuff involved in it, that I'd have been on the Late, and I'd have been on different stuff. But I really had to think strongly about it, because I didn't want to be labelled as this ex-drug addict, criminal comedian. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And I didn't, you know, I wasn't ready to I was only in early recovery, and I had a lot of other people to consider, you know, my partner, my family, my job, people that knew me but didn't know that I was on drugs, or didn't know about my past, because I've got to be honest, in the first few years of my recovery, I carried a lot of shame for the things that I'd done, you know, mainly to my family and, you know, amends that I had to make to people and all that. And I didn't want to be going on telly and kind of, you know, going, oh, look at me, I'm out of prison and I'm this. So I opted not to do it. I says, listen, Des, I says, this isn't going to work. I says, I'm not going to do it. I says, I really appreciate, you know, what you're kind of putting to me and all that. I says, but I'm not going to do it. I says, but if anything else comes about, give me a shout. And then a couple of years later, he done this program, Join the Hood. So he says, we're doing this program, Join the Hood. So we were the pilot scheme. So we were in Ballymun. So basically, the logistics of the program was, he went into a disadvantaged area and he taught stand-up comedy workshops, and then at the end of the 6 weeks you went into your local theatre or community hall and you got on stage, Des MC'd the gig, and you done 10 minutes of stand-up to your family, friends and community.
You remember your script?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I remember doing the. I remember doing the gig. What was yeah, well, I done a gag about me dad, saying me dad was that poor, like, you know. He said my dad said he was that poor that if you didn't wake up on Christmas morning with an erection, you had nothing to play with, like. You know?
I'm just thinking while you're talking, I was at that gig.
Were you? No way.
I was at it in the Axis.
Were you?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Really?
I remember it now. It was yourself,
Jeez, you must have
Eric.
been even a young player.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. When was that?
And Ting that was in...
Ian Scurry was in it.
Yeah, and what's his name that was in Fair City?
Is it Daniel? Was it Daniel?
No, come on, what's his
Patrick
name?
Fitzpatrick.
Ting's sister was in it as well. You know that has the CrossFit gym. What's her name?
Douglas.
Yeah, she was in it.
Jerry Douglas was in it.
No, the young one. Not Jerry, the sister.
This is
There's
the
a
most
younger
parochial conversation
I
ever.
don't know.
Yeah,
Sorry.
she was in
Who's
it
she
as
the
well.
daughter of?
Yeah. That's it. That's a real kind
I
of...
was at it, yeah. There you go.
That's kind of forget where you are moment.
It's not like we're recording here or anything.
Yeah, so I ended up doing that, and we used to travel up and down the country doing open spots into different clubs, but we literally travelled the length and breadth of the country. And I remember the first year getting the Kilkenny Cats Laughs Festival, and it was like a rite of passage. And then Jason Bourne took us over to Edinburgh, and Jason would be still a really good friend of mine. I'm actually going to Edinburgh next month again, and I stay with Jason, and then just start gigging with all these people, like in the early years before they were huge, like John Bishop and Rod Gilbert. I don't know whether you've heard of Rod Gilbert. He's a Welsh comedian. And then you kind of get that thing as well, you know, that imposter syndrome thing kind of going, you know, should I really be here, like, you know? And that's me upbringing, that's where I come from. Because where I come from, you're not meant to do stuff like that, you know what I mean? You're meant to be, you know, either, you know, working on a building site or in prison or on a methadone clinic. A lot of the lads that I grew up with, I'm not saying everybody in Ballymun, but like there's not a lot of people that were doing what I was doing in the entertainment industry. I played in Croke Park. I was telling Philly, I was on, what was the name of that guy? Noel...
Alan Cairns, is it?
Alan Cairns, yeah. So he had a big charity event.
Close there,
yeah,
really.
Yeah. I knew it was something to do with sausages.
It was the dirty accent, was it?
Or Cairns, yeah. Ended up playing in Croke. I was marking Rosanna Purcell at the time, which was great. So
Tipperary hat on it.
Yeah.
And played a bit of GAA, I think, did she?
I remember Ciaran
Kenny.
No, they played with you from down in
Whelan.
He went in for a tackle with Marty Morrissey. Marty Morrissey was in goal, and I swear to God, how Marty Morrissey didn't end up in hospital, I will never know.
I wouldn't like to be in there.
True as good God. And I just looked at Ciaran and went, he goes, I'm not even going to say what he said. But he probably said something.
I played against Ciaran Whelan, Ballymun Raheny in the championship when I was 17.
He's a big man.
And I remember him tackling me. I don't even remember how it happened. There was a weird, but his leg came up across my body and hit me in the face. That's how tall he was. Like, I was like, what just? He didn't even jump. Like, I was like, what just happened there? Big knee in the head, and I was like, what?
He's a unit of a man. My God. And I mean, like, when I looked at, like, you know, people that were playing that day, Ronnie Whelan was playing, Barry Murphy was playing, Ting Porcelain. It was all different, you know, people from the entertainment industry and the sports industry. But when you look at the size of some of them people, and then you look at a man like Ciaran, it's like, Jesus Christ, man. And as I said to Philly, I says, every sport always looks easier on telly, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you're in Croke Park, you actually don't realise the size of the pitch and the distance that needs to be made to get from one end of it to the other. And when I used to watch Philly when he was in his prime and kind of seeing him coming from the back and going up and scoring points and then coming back, you'd be kind of going, when you realise, you know, what's actually involved in doing that, playing against a county club that are on the game, like.
And then when he doesn't do it, people like me are like, why is he not doing that? What's he doing?
I got that mentality from training a bunch of headbangers in terms of Willie and all the
Yeah,
lads.
yeah.
If I could train them, I could do that.
Yeah. So that was all generated through Dez's thing, and just went on to do loads of different stuff, and then done a bit of acting. I ended up in the Savage Eye on RTE, and I was in the Irish Pictorial, and then I was in Love Hate. I got a small part in Love Hate, and then it all came around a few years ago. I ended up doing a play, and the play was very successful, and you've seen the play yourself.
Examination,
We won loads of awards, and I've never won that, genuinely. I've never won that I could say I was really proud of. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I mean, when I won the Best Actor 2019 of the Dublin Fringe Awards, it was one of them moments. And I genuinely wasn't even going to go in that night. I knew I was nominated for it, but my missus was gone. I said, look, we'll just leave it, like, because everybody that was in that, and this is the thing I'm talking about, this feeling less than, like, I'm going, sure, I'm not a bleeding actor, like, do you know what I mean? And the reality is, some of my best acting performances were probably in the district court and the circuit court, do you know what I mean? But there was no awards for them, just a prison sentence, like, you know?
Willie, before we let you go, we're going to get you to do a breaking ball challenge. This was Philly McMahon's idea, I must tell you. So what we're going to do is put the noise cancelling headphones on you. Philly's going to read you a line, and you're going to try and tell him what he is saying to you. All you can do is read his lips.
Okay.
All right.
Right.
So stick on the noise cancelling headphones. Philly,
okay.
You're going to go first.
I need to go to Jack's.
Say it again.
Screaming, shouting.
I need to go. Are you ready? I need to go to Jack's.
RTE is going to Jack's.
That's very close. Very close.
Good, wait. I need to go to Jack's.
Ollie is going to Jack's.
And then I. Right. You changed oi for something else.
It's the accent, lads. It's the accent. He said oi, he thought you said Ollie.
Oi.
How did you say I?
I need to go to Jack's.
I need to go to the Jacks. Yeah, I think we can give him half a point for that. Well, one more.
It's 1-0 to me. Get out of it. Right.
Willie, you're up. Say it out loud, Willie.
All right.
Yeah.
You ready?
Go.
I'll never win an All-Ireland.
I'll never win an All-Ireland.
Yeah!
Oh, brilliant.
I got the second word. Right. Never, and then I got All-Ireland.
Amazing.
Up the flats.
Is it? We have to do one more, right? We have to do one more.
Is that it?
Yeah. That's brilliant. It was an easy one.
I'm really from Glasnevin. I'm really from Glasnevin.
I live in Glasnevin. Oh. I seen Glasnevin.
I'm really from Glasnevin.
I'm really from Glasnevin.
That's brilliant, Philly.
Right, okay.
You're hitting talent.
Last one, right?
Your party.
He's gonna whoop CI5. Say, Philly.
My lip reader.
2 kilos are in the boot of the car.
Your last chance.
This is it, right. How is your ma? Is your dad walking?
How's your man, your dad walking?
Oh, fuck. It's the Ballymun lingo that we're not getting.
I can't believe that's something.
Get that one.
But yeah, easy, come on. Not even challenging me.
Oh.
That was brilliant.
not gonna-
Willie, that was absolutely brilliant. Thanks a
Brilliant,
million
lads.
for
Thanks
coming
very
in.
much.
And thanks very much for watching. Lads, all I need you to do now is join me in one chorus of On Derry, ya boys.
Stop out with that.
On Derry. On Derry.
On Derry.
Derry, a boy.
There we go. On Derry, ya boys.
Oh, Kevin. Kevin plays for Kevin.
Enjoy the semi-finals.